struggling to put together how to even make this video, and I kind of just broke it up into 3 parts, like in my head. I've had to journal a lot recently, with everything that's going on in Palestine and in other places of the world, because, you know, things never stop happening, right? Like, we're always facing some type of tragedy, whether it's, you know, hitting us directly or somebody else, other humans on this planet. There's always something going on. And I think that makes it harder to have to look when things are starting to blow up, literally. And this is a video that's hard for me to make because, and I said this in my post that I don't know if I put it up like a few days ago or 3 or 4 or whatever, because I have not been comfortable bringing politics into the discussion. I have been playing it safe a lot. And I say safe because that's what it is, you know, when you don't want to talk about politics, when you don't want to engage in these discussions because they don't affect you, you're playing it safe, right? And, you know, luckily, these things don't affect you. But when they do affect you, what are you going to do? Are you going to play helpless? Are you going to use everything in your power to give yourself that power that you desperately need? These are all questions that I've asked myself before and also continue to ask myself now. It's been tough to have to face so many shadows. And you know, I know my content isn't like the type of content that paints the prettiest picture to begin with, but it still doesn't make it any easier to have to come on here constantly making videos about things that are not easy for me to face or to talk about. It's really not. But I definitely do pride myself on continuously showing up for myself in this way for as long as I have. It's really not easy. And, you know, like recently with the way the politics have been running in the world, I feel like it's kind of like a call to action for me. Like, am I just gonna sit there and watch these things happen and act like they're not happening, or block everything that's related to it, you know, from my vision, so that I don't have to deal with it because it's not affecting me? And that's not who I am. And the reason that I struggled making this video is because I didn't know how to frame it so that I wasn't going to hurt feelings. And that's been a huge problem with me ever since I was a child. I never wanted to step on people's toes. And sometimes, unfortunately, when you do that, you step on your own toes. And the thing is that I kept on coming up with language that was going to be the most politically correct language to be able to explain how I was feeling, which is very counterintuitive to the reason that I would even make a video in the first place. You know, the whole reason that I started making more content where I'm just talking to the camera is because I want to move away from being scared to say the wrong thing, number one. And number two, because I just want to not fear being loud with my voice and saying the things that I'm saying from my heart. And, you know, like a lot of work goes into that. A lot of spiritual work goes into that. And I had to really go through conversations with friends as well as like continuous conversations with myself and, you know, like my guides and my spirit guides, my ancestors, to really kind of be okay with not feeling that everybody is on my side and trying not to set these expectations for other people that they were eventually going to break. And then me feeling like I got betrayed because they didn't act accordingly to the standards that I set them to. I know I talk about social anxiety on here on more than just like a couple of occasions. And posting and being on social media, even if you are uploading from a computer or you're not showing your face every single time you post or repost a story like on Instagram, it still can bring some anxiety. And I feel like I'm a broken record because I've said it already, I think, in the past couple of videos. But right before, during, and after doing those posts, even if it's not even my own content, if I'm just reposting somebody's content, it brings that anxiety forward and I have to face it yet again. And this is something that I wish I didn't have to deal with, but with what's been going on, I've felt so compelled to have to talk about it, or at the very least share on Instagram, because I'm not verbally, you know, using my voice to talk about it, apart from like in my own home with my sister, and my significant other, and then one of my other friends. It still feels like an act of resistance to continuously support the freeing of a people is noble, but it is also difficult because you are questioning whether you're on the right side of things. And I don't feel like that's a question that I have anymore. If it was, I don't think I would even be talking about it right now the way that I'm talking about it. And I still feel like I'm tiptoeing a little bit. Like, I don't feel like I'm fully, like, revealing everything that I feel. And that's just something that I need to keep working on. I think I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. You know, if you don't follow me on Instagram, feel free to follow me on Instagram. Send me a DM if you want to interact with me on Instagram. But I am posting more political things on there. Usually I'm reposting from pages that I believe are more knowledgeable in the subject, so they're better resources than I am when it comes to politics or like what's going on right now. I also have a highlight that I recently made from my stories where I'm adding posts, but also from creators on Instagram that talk a lot about politics and about what's going on. One thing that has become apparent to me during everything that's been going on pretty much the entire month of October is really having to sit with my voice and my beliefs and my ability or inability to talk about certain things with certain people or post certain things. And it made me think about all the times that I did want to protest something or, you know, practice some type of activism, and I let my fear get in the way. I let my fear overshadow my beliefs and what that told me as a person. And this plays a part in a lot of other aspects of who we are, but and once again, I'm telling you that I'm repeating something that I've said before, but when you say that you believe in something and then you act, you know, to the opposite of what your belief systems are, you're betraying yourself, and you're sending yourself a message that, number one, you're probably not a person of your word. And this isn't even like something you have to accept. It's something that just happens when you do that and you stop believing in yourself. So this goes way deeper than just, you know, oh, I believe in this one little cause or this one huge cause, depending on what we're talking about. And I just want to like kind of post a little thing about it so that people know that I'm kind of feeling this way. It goes so much deeper than that. The way we show up and the way that we don't show up when it comes to our belief systems outlines and limits or busts limits of who we are to become as people on this planet. So I come from a place of being afraid to talk, being afraid to share my opinions, being afraid to be called out on something, being like just so many things. And I feel like I've been tired of it for such a long time that I have to keep continuously showing up for myself in whatever ways that I can, with the capacity that I have, with the knowledge that I have at that time. Because obviously there's always more that we can learn. There's always more that we can know. And that's something that's always limited me, because it's like, oh, I kind of want to talk about this, but I don't know this and this about it. And that's just off of the top of my head. And then I start reading more about it. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know that and that about it. And it just keeps snowballing into this whole thing of like, well, I shouldn't even talk about it at all because I don't know anything about it. And what that does, like, obviously I believe in reading books and in expanding your knowledge. I think you guys all know that. You know, that's the reason that I also continue to go to school and get my degree. But what point do you actually say, okay, you know what, I need to talk about this regardless and learn as I go? Because that is also an act of courage, and it's been a huge act of courage for me, but it is difficult to deal with. When we keep thinking about these like things and saying, okay, well, I don't know enough, I don't know enough, I don't know enough. You're going to die not knowing enough. I hope you guys understand that. Like, you're never going to know enough. So does that mean you're just going to live a life in silence? I fucking hope not. I am not a new age, love and light, spiritual bypassing witch. That is not me. And if I ever came off that way, that was not my intention. But we are facing shadows here. Acting like it's not our problem, acting like it doesn't affect us, does not make us better, and does not make us immune to anything that happens in life. I had so much rage. I had so much emotion. And I realize it's because I'm grieving. And there has been a theme of constant grieving for a while now. And it seems like it just continues to be the theme. But I do not live in despair. And I feel that I'm stronger now than I have ever been. And it has allowed me to show up in ways for myself that I didn't think I could. So I guess I'm just sitting here and talking because I need to get some things off of my chest, but I still feel like I've talked for like, I don't even know how many, like over 10 minutes now, and I haven't really said anything. And maybe this is just what this needs to be. But today is Halloween. It's the witch's new year. And nothing feels more fucking spooky, hardcore, fucking witchcraft as fuck than me doing this video right now. My witchcraft is so much to me. It is the torch of strength that I carry. It is what allows me to push past my own imposed limiting beliefs, and it allows me to grow and do all of the scary shit. I was having a discussion with my partner about what was happening in Palestine. And, you know, he wasn't really educated on the history of what happened prior to October 7th with everything. So we were going back and forth about it, and he expressed to me that he just didn't understand why so many people were talking about this. And they weren't talking about like a lot of the cartels and all of the deaths and all of those horrible, atrocious things that happen in Mexico. And the reason that that got brought up firstly in Mexico is because, you know, our parents were born in Mexico. We are of Mexican descent. We have Mexican blood in our body. Both him and I. So that's something that he's deeply invested in. He's always knowing what's going on with the cartels, and He expresses a lot of like emotion and fury towards the horrible things that they do to people, including children. And just the other day, he shared with me that one of those cartels killed a child just because the child said that some singer that they don't like, that the cartel doesn't like, was their boyfriend or significant other, so they killed that child. But he brought that to my attention. He was like, why are people so up in arms about this when there's this horrible thing happening in Mexico? And that was the first thing he brought up, especially because, you know, a lot of Mexican people are quiet. And I can understand, you know, why that could be the case for them, or even for other people. Like, I'm literally coming from somebody who was completely like mute, anxious, not gonna say anything, completely ignore and bypass all of the suffering because it's just too fucking hard to deal with, to now going into this space of I'm gonna say something and I'm gonna be heard and I'm trying not to be scared anymore, and people need to know that this is not fucking okay. Like, I'm in this trajectory, right? Like, I'm not here or here 100% anymore. I am moving this way. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because I don't see nobody really talking about it when they're in that transition. I see them when they're here, and I see them when they're here. I hope that if you are trying to outgrow from being on this side and you want to go that way, that maybe if you see other people doing it, that maybe that inspires some hope. Apparently it's a new trend that I'm going to cry in every video now, because I feel like I have been crying in every fucking video. And it's a huge part of grief. So I'm not going to try to hold my tears back, and I'm not going to shield anybody from that, because that's the reality. Feeling grief, trying to work through your emotions, trying to, you know, talk about things that are difficult, trying to talk about things that you've never talked about before in a public space, like, all that shit's fucking hard. You know, and at the same time, like, that you're dealing with all that other stuff, you're also, well, at least I am, grieving all the times that I betrayed myself because I didn't speak up about something because I was too scared. But yeah, this is me trying to show you through the process, like, what it feels like, what's going on. But yeah, I hope that if you are trying to get out of that fear and that social anxiety, that maybe seeing somebody that is currently working on those things can help you, give you hope, or maybe you can learn, like, something that worked for me so that you could try it and maybe it could work for you. I don't fucking know. But going back to that conversation when I was talking with my significant other, you know, he's like, why isn't nobody talking about this? Why are they focusing on that? And I can't answer that question for everybody. I can only answer it for myself. And it goes back to what I was saying. And I told him this on the phone, because this conversation we had on the phone, I was like, it started bringing me to tears when he asked me that question, because it was a reminder of all of those times that I felt that I betrayed my people. Because I have seen people that I've met and hung out with before post things that hurt me, and I didn't have the balls to call them out. And it is not on them to cater to my feelings, and I understand that. But if I'm telling you that my parents come from Mexico, and you're posting up things that are racist. And that they should go back to their country. That hurts. Of course, it also has led up to this moment, right? Where I feel like I can't say something now because I'm just so sick and tired of it. So, posting up things that are pro Free Palestine, to me, is a step in the right direction. There is so much more left to say. This is an ongoing conversation for me, and I'm happy to have this conversation with others in the comments or continue this conversation through DMs on Instagram. It is something that I'm working on right now, being able to communicate as I'm in the middle of the fucking trenches. It has definitely not been the easiest thing, but I didn't get into witchcraft because it was easy. I didn't continue to choose this path because I thought that I could race through it. And constantly being vulnerable has had the exact opposite effect of what I thought it would have prior to me being vulnerable. I thought that being vulnerable was going to show my weakness, and therefore it was only going to add to that feeling of weakness, and instead it has armed me. And I'm so glad to be able to say some of the things that I can say on this platform. What a way to end this witch's year. It has been fucking epic. And I feel stronger than I ever have. This next year is going to be on another level.